Netflix recently released Devil May Cry, and the anime was surprisingly better, even though I had to watch it on a website that was not where it was originally released because I don't have Netflix anymore. Nonetheless, the anime series was a lot more dope than I thought it was. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be subbed or if it was supposed to be dubbed. I tried to find a subbed version so I could watch like the subtitles because I feel like there's a lot more emotion, meaning, tones with Japanese voice actors compared to English voice actors. Nonetheless, the English voice actors was still pretty dope. The White Rabbit was an amazing character. Dante was an incredible character as well too. His growth, like he's kind of like, some people give him this credit or this, the lady made it seem like he was some idiot that didn't know what he was doing, but like, do you have to necessarily know what you're doing? Like when you're good at something and you're great at something, such as like defeating demons and being all powerful and being able to conquer the world, then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I do have a lot more strength and a lot more capabilities than I originally thought that I did. And there are going to be a couple of spoilers. I know I'm about a minute in or so-ish right now, but I just want to let you know that first if you haven't watched the whole series, because I wanted to talk about something that happened, I believe, in episode 2, where Dante sees his brother alive from this guy that's able to change like shapes and characters. And he says something a little bit later in the episode or in the series where he's just like, I create my transparency or I take on people's abilities through their specific look and through their energies, in a sense, is kind of what he ended up talking about. And when we see Dante's brother and Dante's like, you died, I watched you die. But then when we hear the shape-shifting guy talk about how he had his brother alive, like he has to have somebody alive in order to replicate them, it got me thinking. I was like, so then that means that his brother is alive. We come to realize this later in the series. It's near the end of the episode and even a little bit prior to then. But like you always had this thought, or at least I did, of like, that must mean that his brother's alive if the shapeshifter is able to look the way that his brother did, and he must know who his brother is in order to be able to see and transform into his brother. Because a lot of the times we have to see who somebody else is to be able to behave like them, and they have to still be around for us to be able to duplicate their said powers. So that was one of the nice little like subtle things that you may or may not have picked up on when watching the series, when watching the 8 episodes that they have released right now. I really enjoyed it because just the battles, the gore, the head chops, like the transformations, the overall animation style was 10 out of 10 in my book. Some people might not necessarily enjoy it because maybe it's too much, maybe it's too gory, maybe it's too like esoteric in a sense, but like to me it's just like it was cool because you just got to see how like the lady, she transformed as well too throughout the arc. She thought that all demons were bad and that all demons were like terrible, and then she realized that some demons like weren't that way. She had been brainwashed, as maybe you have been brainwashed, as maybe others have been brainwashed, to believe that this is just how the world is. But like when she was saved by the demons, she still even pulled her gun on them afterwards and was like, I'm going to take you out. And they're like, we literally just saved your life. We risked everything to save you. Like, we aren't bad people. As you can see, like, we just wanted to get out of Makai so that our children could breathe and live and have a wonderful life. And that whole thing changed her life, because then we see the vice president who he comes in later in the series, and he's like, you know, we have to eradicate all demon spawn. And it's like, why? Like, what if not everybody's bad? It's kind of like this war that we do in our world as well, too, of like, just because we don't agree with something, then we want to exterminate that said thing. Which is just like, well, what if that's not the case? What if there are other people that are like in the demon world, in Makai, in hell, that are not bad, that are just trying to get by? Because not everybody's going to be the exact same. There's good people in the world that we live in right now. There's also people that are not so good in the world that we live in right now. And I really like that correlation that they made within the anime, within the series, was like, just because people are put in this box of like demons, devils, worshippers, whatever it may be, that all of them are bad, that's not necessarily true, because some of them could be living a different life. That's what I liked with the arc of the White Rabbit. Was one of the episodes, I can't remember which one, I think it was episode 6-ish or so, where you see the two stories of Lady and then the White Rabbit, where they go through this whole ordeal of like, this is one of them, they were both became orphans. One of them ended up going down the path of like wanting to slay all demons, where the other one like was trying to help the other demons like escape the world so that they can live a better life because he lived with them. And this is where we see certain people will live with certain other types of demographics, other types of like individuals that we might not necessarily agree with, but that person believes that they are the right people. And this is the case for anybody anywhere where we are at right now, is we all have our own small little individual cliques. Sometimes it's good to get out of that clique. Sometimes it's good to see somebody else's perspective. Sometimes it's good to understand why people do the reasons why people do the things that they do, because there's always a reason. There's probably some unresolved childhood trauma. There's probably some overall arching theme of I want to make right by this and make sure that the same thing never happens to people moving forward. I want to ensure that I can protect those that need my protection because they're weak and they can't defend themselves by themselves. And this is what the Rabbit and then Dark Calm had in common, was they both were protecting the people that they thought they needed to protect most. Because the lady, she thought that she needed to protect her family and everybody else, humankind, from demons, because she was led to believe, because when she was a child, she saw and realized that demons were trying to kill people, but that was her only experience. Whereas the White Rabbit, what he ended up seeing was his whole world, like everybody that he knew, they were friendly, they were loving, they were caring. They were the first people to actually ever show him love and compassion, because when he was in the orphanage, all he ended up doing was getting beaten and battered and like talked down upon. So like when he found other people that were finally able to support him, he's like, these are my people. Whereas the lady, she didn't have that. She saw something completely different in both people. So it really just kind of depends on the perspective and the way that you grew up and the experiences that you had that will dictate your beliefs in this world. Because Dante, he doesn't believe that he's the demon or devil spawn. Like, he just believes that he's a human until he realizes, okay, yeah, maybe I am a demon because I can transform into one. Maybe this is who my father was. He didn't have that belief up until that point because his mom, the person that gave him the necklace, saw the good in him, saw that he could be all powerful, saw that he could help humanity, saw what she saw in his father and him. And we see these things in our world, and our world will reflect our situation to what has experienced in the past for us. The vice president, we don't necessarily know what happened to him other than he just thinks that he has to eradicate all demons because he believes in God. So I guess that would be the reason why, is he believes so highly in God that he has to eradicate the demons. But what if the demons are God as well? Like, what if God created everything? Because then that would mean that he's just killing off other aspects of God's creation. Why is he the one that gets to be just in what is being done? It's the same thing could be said as well about Dante, because like, how do we know that these demons, the ones that are coming out from Akai, like, what if they are the ones that are struggling? What if we're the ones that are trying to oppress them? What if we're the ones that are stopping them from achieving their goals? It's these small little subtle things that we only ever see the person as they are right now. We don't see the events that led up to them being the type of person that they are. All we know is like, this person's strong, this person has a vendetta, this person has trauma, this person has experiences that may or may not have shaped them into the type of person that they are right now. And in order to move past that, sometimes we have to evolve, sometimes we have to look at our perspective, sometimes somebody has to break our belief of who we originally thought this person was. And if we can do that, I genuinely do believe that we can start to live a much more meaningful life. We can have a much more like overarching of like, I want to understand this person. I want to understand what their problems are. I want to understand how we could help them. Why do they think the ways that they think? Instead of just like going guns blazing and being like, we need to eradicate every demon spawn on this entire world, when it's like, well, what if we were able to work with them? What if we could coexist with each other? And that was something that the lady had wanted to do a little bit later in the series, but then the vice president ended up killing everybody that she was trying to save. Dante, he was also trying to save everybody that he could, because he wants to build a world just as much as Lady does that is best for both of them. And yet she still, at the end, did turn Dante in, which is a little messed up in my opinion. Like, it seemed like they had bonded and they had created something that was truly unique to the both of them. And yet her like programming was still so ingrained that she couldn't allow somebody that was as strong as he was to go out on his own when he wouldn't have done anything. Like, all he was doing was trying to save people. He was trying to help people. He was trying to make sure that the world and devils and everybody else could coexist in a certain way. Like, he is going to be, because like, he's just going to be the melder of the two worlds, because if say hypothetically we do get a season 2, then he's probably going to have to go up against his brother that he thought was dead. But obviously now he knows that he's alive, but he doesn't know who his brother is, other than he has no idea who his brother is. And so he's going to have to find a way to be able to reconnect with him, and his brother's probably going to put his ideals onto Dante and be like, look at all these demons and all these other people that like have been struggling for years within here. And then Dante's going to be like, well, no, like look at all the people on Earth that have been struggling, that I've been having to defend and help and save and all this other stuff. And there's going to have to be an epic battle between the both of them. So it's going to be really interesting to see what ends up coming of like season 2, if we do end up getting one, along with just like everything that happened within season 1 of Devil May Cry. So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts if you made it to the end of the video. Like, what did you think about Devil May Cry? Was it good? Did you enjoy it? Did you see any of these like subtle messages and meanings? Who do you think's actually in the right? Was it Dark Calm, or was it the White Rabbit? Like, or was it Dante? Like, who is in the right? And it's probably going to be different for everybody else because no two people will share the exact same experience. So if you enjoyed this, just let me know your thoughts down below and subscribe, and I'll check you out in the next one. Thanks for watching. Also, do apologize for the extended delay. I kind of like did a lot of content, and then I took a little bit of a break to kind of like reanalyze and do a little bit of different stuff because I needed to get back into working a job to be able to pay the bills so I could be able to create these videos still for you when I do find the inspiration. Have a couple more videos lined up for you later this week. So I'll chat with you then. Thanks again.